Okay, so we should be live, guys. So we'll just say welcome again to the InfernoCast. And this is a friends and family and you live cast. And today we are returning with season 2. And with season 2, that we're going to be focusing on just more like topical stuff, a couple of specific things, and just overall, really a good time. Nothing as frequent as it was with season 1, where season 1 we were really hitting with like once a week, every week, and we hit 75 episodes, and it was a great time. A huge thanks again to everyone here, as well as Hillbilly Hardicus, for supporting the InfernoCast. So thank you guys. Let's go ahead and start off with some introductions or reintroductions at this point. I, of course, am Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming, where gaming reigns king for Nintendo, retro gaming, and RPGs. So a huge hello and welcome to everybody that is going to watch us live or a video on demand. Glad to have you. I also want to extend a thank you for joining to Simbu Darkfang. Simbu, you are the host of a certain Twitch channel. Would you like to elucidate on what that is?
Ooh. 50-cent college words. I think my brain overheated with that one. I am Simbu Darkfang, retired haunted house actor, multiple time award winner. For that, I am also the host of the now Friday night SFWF stream over on the Twitch channel Scurryface_official. Again, Scurry with a U. Face_official. Fox will have that down in the comments below or in the show notes, whatever it's called. I don't know. I don't do all this. I just talk and people hate me, so it's all right. But that is every Friday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So check your plus or minus hours if you want to watch it live. Otherwise, you can always catch it on replay. But yeah. That's about all I got.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And it's a lot of fun, a lot of great content. So make sure that you register. We have the channel for Scurryface_official in the description below. If I did everything correctly, which if I didn't, I can always modify and fix it. Also joining us is Jason the 13th of the YouTube channel, Jason the 13th. Jason, A, thank you so much for joining, and B, thank you for joining on the Midwest Gaming Classic that was just this past weekend. We definitely had a great time.
Oh, yeah, we did. Got some good deals there, too.
Absolutely. Any word on updating your channel with some fun gameplay videos?
Oh, I need to get back into that now. I actually got a little bit more time, so I need to start messing around with it and get something rolling again. Revitalize it after like half a year of not being on there.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely got to get that kicking. Also, not only are these two gentlemen have online presences, we also have Stormrosesky of the YouTube and Twitch channels of Stormrosesky. So, Storm, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back with you all. I need to get working on, doing some streams again and thinking about some Jackbox party games, especially for us on the InfernoCast. Maybe we get a game night or something, and summer's almost here. We have 7 weeks left from school before we're on summer break. So, while that's nice, I will miss having a paycheck for that time. But there's good news, and hopefully in the future I will be staff. So we will See, but my channel, I've been putting up some Fortnite clips and trying to, maybe throw more gameplay stuff on there instead of what I was doing with the top 10 countdown or whatever. We'll see. Until then, just hanging out and reading lots of books.
Nice, very cool. Yeah, definitely looking forward to more content on that. Congrats potentially on some good news that could be coming. That is very exciting, very very cool to hear, and always welcome to have you here, as well as me being one of the many of your partners on Fork Knife as hijinks ensue. Also joining us is Astrimedes of the Second Place Games. Astrimedes, hopefully I remembered that correctly. Astrimedes, just like everyone here, is a long time good friend of mine from the days of Micro Center, if you can believe it. Crazy. Astrimedes, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. And if people don't know, I'm with Second Place Games, as you mentioned. We are an effort by two people with software development kind of day jobs that is very much a on-the-side effort. We have a page on its.io, secondplacegames.its.io, and I also publish under astrimedes.its.io. Nothing that is actually polished enough to advertise specifically, but if you like playing with weird unfinished things, we have some stuff on our pages.
Nice. Definitely like to look into that. That's a lot of great fun. We do have a link to Second Place Games in the description below, so make sure that you check that out. And Astrimedes, I'll make sure to add links to those other sites that you mentioned too. And last and
unfinished games. That sounds like EA. Oh. Did I get first shots fired? Oh.
No. Also joining us, last but not least, is my partner and partner in crime. That is Jamie Owls. And Jamie Owls, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to be back. I know this was kind of like a last minute because I made plans with a friend, but thankfully I came home just in time to make up to get on.
Nice.
And just good to be back. I know we did take a long break, and just what Stormrosesky said, summer vacation's coming up, which I wish I could have. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to start talking about video games again and other topics related to video games. So it's good to talk about fun stuff, crazy times, but it's always good to focus on good things.
Yeah, absolutely, because even with the world burning up, we at least have video games, and definitely grateful for that. Just a quick shout out in the chat. We had Fat Boys Gaming and Nonsense saying, hey, and what's up, everyone? He also mentioned in regards to turning on redirect so he can raid the stream. I will work on that. This is literally the first official stream that we're doing it this way. That is through the non-entity of Zoom, because I've been using Zoom for a while. Really happy to not be doing that. So this is all freeware. So yeah, thank you OBS. Thank you also to Fat Boys, because with his help and support, Inferno Fox Gaming was able to crack 1,000 subscribers. We are super excited for that. Very happy to be able to hit and reach that milestone, which means now that we are monetized. I don't know if that's going to pop up. Okay, we are monetized, which means that we get money. So for the month, I think the 2 weeks that I've been on there, I've gotten 54 cents. So yes, not doing it for the money, of course. It's all fun, and we're gonna keep doing this until YouTube is not fun anymore. And I am still having fun. I've got like 4 episodes or whatnot of content still in the tank, even after today's video premiered, which was going over Jason the 13th's and my experience with Midwest Gaming Classic. Still got 4 more that are set to premiere, along with a Hawaiian themed episode at this time next Monday. So make sure you check both me and Jamie Owls for that. So this will be a little bit more of a truncated episode where we're most likely not going to get past 1 hour because, if we get past an hour, we're going to all turn into pumpkins or whatever that is. And we appreciate everybody whom has joined us here for the long haul, as well as joining us on video on demand. Really appreciate that. But we want to talk about really the big video game. What is it? Monkey in the room? What is it? The elephant in the room? Elephant or monkey, depending on what you want to sort of.
300-pound gorilla.
Yeah, we'll go with that. The 100-pound rhinoceros in the room. That's going to be the Switch 2, and I don't want to drain a million things at once, but I also don't want to just focus on something as crazy as the pricing. I did appear on a fellow YouTube content creator, Jay from Cold Nights Gaming's channel yesterday live to discuss that with a number of excellent YouTube content creators. Definitely recommend you go on Jay at Cold Night Gaming's site to find that. Really very vocal and active conversation. Kind of want to avoid rehashing that. It's essentially pricing bad, memes can be funny, and kind of go with that. Like I've sort of been taking the hey, let's try and get a laugh out of this because let's laugh. Let's avoid crying for laughing or whatnot. Simbu and I have been trading memes outside of our normal thing, just regarding that and Snow White. Want to go ahead and Jason the 13th. I'm going to ask you first and foremost, what were your thoughts about the Switch 2 hour-long direct?
Actually, I kind of liked most of it. I was gonna say, I don't play nearly as many games as you or Simbu, but the games I do play, I more pick and choose more than play everything and anything that's handed to me. But I like good half dozen games they showed for it, and overall, it's good. I was gonna say the Mario Kart looks great. I'm gonna love to try that one. The new Donkey Kong, it looks awesome. Of course, new Pokemon will be coming out for it. New Metroid. I'm loving a bunch of these games, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Any thoughts to the Switch 1 to Switch 2 upgrades, and not only just the ones that you got to pay for? I think I've heard it is officially $10 for the Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, if you're not a NSO member. But what is your thought about the potential redemption arc that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet might get, because they are getting an upgrade with the Switch 2?
It'll be very interesting for that one. I don't think every game needs it. It's nice to have the options, though. After this long, I don't think Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is anyone's looking for an upgrade to that. I think they're just looking for the new games now. So it is always nice to have that upgrade. It is going to be a nice feature for that one. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like if I'm able to snag a Switch 2, if I'm still going to be on board, provided it still stays its current listed price and it isn't subject to a potential raise from there, I could see wanting to revisit Pokemon Scarlet, because I put it down. There was no way I was going to play it in its form.
It's a shame because it is one of the better storylines that Pokemon has put out. That does have quite a few glitches, and if you get the update, the frame rates will hopefully improve it by a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
there's stuff spawning in the background and everything with how slow it gets, and especially when you're in the water. Oh my gosh, it runs slow.
Yeah, it's with what the guys at Retro Studios can do with the 1 remastered and the 4 Beyond. I still feel like there's no excuse for Game Freak, but fortunately they are being given the excuse, thankfully, with these various upgrades. I do want to ask Jamie Owls and Storm their impressions, but I'm going to throw a curve on this discussion. Simbu, from everything that you and I have sort of discussed and shared and everything, and from everything that you've seen online, we got to know, what is your opinion thus far with everything you have heard and seen with the Switch 2?
That's not creepy.
No, that's the appropriate response. That's why I wanted Simbu's after Jason's.
Simbu is not necessarily a Nintendo fan, so he can pick out all the bad things, to where a few bad things I see about it are kind of like, that's okay, I don't need to worry about those.
And with Simbu, though, like that is what I want. I want his other side opinion, because I can also fanboy, but I can also be the extremely strict fan that holds everyone to the highest letter and go the other direction that most likely and hopefully Simbu's going to go. You have the floor, good sir. Good snake. Good sir.
Oh, well, I appreciate the floor. I'm pretty sure some people may not appreciate my floor at this when I'm done here. But okay, let's start with the elephant, monkey, giraffe, sometimes part-time developer. I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, pricing. Okay, you're coming out swinging with legitimately last-gen graphics and processing power. You're coming out swinging, asking for new gen or current gen console pricing. Astronomically ridiculous to begin with. But go ahead.
Or higher price.
Or higher, right? Exactly.
$80 is
They
higher
have no
than
control
$70
over
we've
that,
been
though.
seeing.
There will be pricing increases that Nintendo has no control over. Welcome to the USA.
Well, that again, we can debate that one too. But if you're coming out swinging at $500, starting $500, this is before any whatever tariff or whatever bonus pricing that Storm is alluding to here. You're swinging at $450, which is $50 less than a PS5 disc model. But you're only giving the processing power of the PS4. Come on now. That's a high ask to begin with. Then, of course, you add in the bonus pricing or whatever that Storm was alluding to just moments ago. And now, now you're hitting PS6 pricing.
Or PS5 Pro.
Right. PS5 Pro. Now you're looking at $600 something bucks for the Switch 2. That is astronomically ridiculous for a Nintendo system. Now, I will grant them this, that the Switch 1 had one of the incredibly longest life cycles of a Nintendo console. And Fox, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But it hung around for a lot longer than anyone expected it to. It lasted through 2 generations. Not something you normally see. So could they be playing for hoping that the Switch 2 will last the same amount of time? But then again, here goes, now we're going to go into this PS5 base, PS5 Slim, PS5 Pro. Is Nintendo going to do that again like they did with the Switch 1? Where they had the Nintendo Switch, then they had the Switch Lite, and then they had the OLED, and the PPLED, and the OVICK, or whatever the hell they however many models of the Switch they threw out there. Are they going to do it again? the question then becomes with this. Same concept with the PS5 Pro. It is not worth it, nor is going to be the upgrade for the PS5 or PS6, in my opinion, currently. And I will go back to my PS4 argument that I made many times before. The PS4 Pro was necessary because it was an upgrade to 4K. Because why? 4K became consumer friendly. It became economically friendly for everybody to afford. Guess what? 8K is not. 16K is not. 352K. I'm sure it exists because we have the Hubble telescope, but it's not consumer friendly. Therefore, you can show, and Fox and I have talked about this before, there is no game that runs in 8K.
Technically, the Tourist does, but that's not like a real thing. Simbu, you and I know that. A lot of Sony Pony fans will say that, the Tourist does, but that's not. Yeah, it's a game, but the only games that do run in 8K are PC games.
Right.
So I'm gonna sort of take your ball and run with it, Simbu, if you don't mind, because this one of the things that Nintendo has always had a market on is affordability and value with their products. And when you have a product that is priced, as Simbu had said, at the $450, that's at and around the same level as the PS5 Slim, or with Mario Kart, and it's the PS5 with the disc model, you pretty much price out a lot of the affordability that comes with those who want to get the Switch 2 with their kids, or for their kids. Now, based on the Nintendo Direct that revealed and fully showed the Switch 2, the 1 hour one, that was not geared towards the mom with her 2 kids. The mom with her 2 kids already has the 1 or 2 Switches, and that's evidenced by the fact that Switch 2 Direct went into very fine detail, showing what 4K is, the fan on the dock, some really detailed specs with and for the Switch 2 that I, as a video game enthusiast, appreciate, but the mom with the 2 kids, it's meaningless to her, because her 2 Switch lights that were $200 each still work, besides, of course, maybe a little bit of the Joy-Con drift, possibly, but they still work, and it's still going, and it's one of those things that it's just like, where's the affordability? And the idea that it's like almost a gatekeep that Nintendo is doing for that. To the other end of the spectrum, and this is to Nintendo's credit, the Steam Deck. When I bought it, I bought the highest memory one possible. It was $650. Since then, they've released an OLED version and double the amount of memory for $700. And the Switch 2 is stronger than the Steam Deck. And it's been shown that the overall strength level of the Switch 2 is around like PS4/PS4 Pro/ something like Xbox Series S level, because this is essentially like a PS4/Pro with SSD, sort of like super quick, no load time type bojazz. So for me, it's an overall enticing proposition, but I really think it sucks for entry-level individuals, and we're going to have a sort of argument where Nintendo's going to say what they said in the 90s when parents were complaining. Nintendo told parents, buy an NES. What did Microsoft tell people in the aughts when the newest system was coming out, and it was the Xbox One, when people didn't like the fact that Kinect was required? Microsoft said, buy a 360. And Nintendo may end up saying that again to their lower cost or cost-minded people, which, as we're going into a recession or depression, make America Great Depression again, it's one of those things that wages and everything are that much tougher, making conciliatory purchases like this extra. Storm, let me...
Hold on. Can I interject real quick?
I'm gonna say no on that because I do want to actually get us moving. Table that thought, Simbu. I do want to get back to that, but I want to move to Storm's thought on this because I went Jason for the pro, you with a very good counter, and me with both pro and counter. Storm, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm really not surprised about price. I mean, things go up in price. The Nintendo Switch original, whatever, when it first came out, $299, $350, or the old LED was $350. So I'm not surprised. Like, it's better for Nintendo. And hearing that, oh, they're not like the PS5 and or they're trying to do this and they're backgrounding this and blah blah blah. Nintendo can't do right by a lot of the people a lot of the times, no matter what they do. So it is what it is. Whether I would like to have one, that's where I'm at. I want the Switch 2. I want Mario Kart. I cannot wait for Mario Kart. No amount of nitpicking, and Nintendo's gonna not make me any less excited for this Mario Kart. You know, I don't know. People who develop those games and whatever need to get paid for their work. And as the technology grows, the cost grows up. Hopefully we'll get the Nintendo Switch 2 here in the US because of the now wonderful hold that we can't do a pre-order until God knows when. So it's a little bothersome, but it is what it is. Overall, I'm excited for the Switch, and we'll be selling one or both of my old Switches to help offset the cost. And while it may not be in everyone's budget, I mean, the PS5 wasn't in everyone's budget for a while, and, you gotta save, and if you want it, you'll save for it. Things suck and whatever. I mean, I'm in the education field. I'm not in it to make money. I'm in it because I love it, and you're not in it to get rich. So budgeting and understanding the cost, and a lot of kids aren't going to be getting the Switch 2 because that is $450, but a lot of kids don't get the PS5 because it's $500. It just is what it is. I don't know. I'm just the outlier who just wants to talk about the excitement of oh my god, the $80 Mario Kart that's coming. Meanwhile, Nintendo is not known for having a game come out and then, you're spending $20 on a DLC later down the road, or adding a whole bunch of other bojazz that's unnecessary. So, I'm more excited for the things than, I guess, all the negative Nancy's about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of positive aspects to this potential reveal and everything like that. And you're right, there is generally a really good value proposition when it comes to Nintendo's first party products. You can almost be certain that the products are going to be good when it's first party Nintendo. Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Excuse me. But when it comes to something like a flagship product like Mario Kart, you can almost be guaranteed that that's money that's going to be well spent. And I will say, I'm darn well hoping that that's going to be the case, which, again, you had mentioned about Nintendo not doing DLC. Of course, the last Mario Kart twice over had DLC. Once when it was back on the Wii U, and then once when it was back on the Switch later. Though, if you are part of the NSO ecosystem, you don't have to pay for the DLC. That's within the cost of that. There has been no mention about price increases for the NSO memberships, especially like the expansion packs and everything like that, which, if you have a Switch 1 copy of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, that's something that is going to get the Switch 2 upgrade without paying any of the extra money, the $10, if you have the NSO expansion pack plus. And maybe you might want to think about holding off selling your Switches, because the Switch 2 can stream gameplay to your Switch 1s, though certain Switch 2 titles have to be sort of compatible for that. I want to return back to Simbu. Simbu, again, apologies. thank you for understanding. You had a good rebut to what I had said. I wanted to make sure that I returned to your opinion. So please continue.
Well, and so like everyone brings up hold on, I'm trying to find it again. I was listening to Storm and processing what she was saying. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. But so one thing that I'm curious on is with your mention of when the SNES came out, what did Nintendo tell everybody? Buy an NES. What did Xbox do? Buy a 360. Okay, that's great, grand, and wonderful. Are they possibly getting ready to pre-market a Switch 2 Lite? And when that Switch 2 Lite comes out, I still think you're going to be paying what? Switch 1 prices? Original Switch 1, Switch OLED prices for a Switch 2 Lite? Which, I mean, if the Switch and the Switch Lite give any indication, I can only hope that the Switch 2 Lite screen is at least as big as the original Switch.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned about the Switch Lite thing. I don't think you're far off. In Japan has a specific version of the Switch 2 that is only $330 US. The caveat to that is it is region locked. Only Japanese games and store can play that. So it makes me wonder. I am wondering if Nintendo stopped the pre-orders because they stopped the pre-orders because the idea was they were pre-planning the tariffs to only impact Chinese manufacturing. That's where about half of the manufacturing that they do is presently at. The other half at Vietnam, purposely to avoid this sort of cost. Well, our resident in chief has put a 46% tariff on Vietnam now, which would automatically and precipitously increase the cost for these imports. So the idea would be, okay, Nintendo needs to back out of it. Now, do they hold off? Do they work on creating a US-only variant like in Japan to help offset the costs? I've heard, I apologize, I know this is awful, I heard, there was an article that I saw today online that Doug Bowser has said that there is a lot of stock already in the United States right now in warehouses of Switch 2s. There's already inventory. Sony has already pre-planned for all of this nonsense and has a lot of stock of PS5s currently in the United States. All of these companies have done that. The inventory is swollen right now for this purpose. But that inventory is going to run out, and that's just kind of the way it is. So, Simbu, you definitely made excellent points, and I would not be surprised. And obviously, I know you're referring to an actual specific light unit, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a sort of merge of where it's a lesser cost, but it's only going to be U.S. region locked, which I would like the international one, how the normal Switch is, because I have a couple Switch 1 physical games that are PEGI, like European as well as Chinese and Japanese. Don't have a lot of them, but I've got a couple, and I'd like to play them in the Switch too.
Right, but again, with that though, at that point, if that's what you want, then you should have to pay. You should have to pay for it. I mean, that just goes without saying. But again, we bring up the mom with two kids, consumer friendly. How many of these kids? How many of these families are really going to be looking for the Japanese version cartridge of Final Fantasy 26? I mean, they're not. They're going to look for.
Well, the hope is that U.S. would have its own U.S. locked version. The Japanese one is literally not going to sell outside of Japan. Obviously, like you could probably get it imported, but then pay the tariff for that import, thus negating the point of getting it.
Right.
Astrimedes, before I get your opinion in general about the Switch 2, Jamie Owls, you were there sort of kind of with me during the hour-long presentation for the Switch 2. What were your thoughts about the reveal and everything with it?
I think they did a good job with the introduction of the the Mario Kart world. I think that it gets people excited for the Switch 2 and motivation to buy it. There were plenty of games on there that I thought looked cool, but some of them didn't really fit my style of gaming. I'm excited for other fans who are excited for those other types of games. Honestly, I thought the way how they started and ended it, because at the very end, I was very excited to see a brand new Donkey Kong game, and I know I mentioned that in our previous podcast episodes, where I just hoping to have a new Donkey Kong game, but there was a part of me that had a feeling it won't come out until the new Switch 2, so I was correct on that. Yeah, I thought it was really good, and I look forward to hearing more about other newer games. I know for you were looking forward to Metroid, and it's just, I know we were kind of talking about the prices and whatnot, and how the pre-orders are on hold, so I think that is a little bit of dilemma here in the United States, where, you got people excited, and then finding out that the pre-orders are not really going to happen for us until further notice. So I can see that being like is that going to motivate people to buy the system until, we know exactly how much it's going to cost for us. So me personally, even though I really want to play the newer games, the newer Donkey Kong and the Mario Kart, I could see myself just kind of holding off until, prices are going down a little bit. Like, I have enough games to play. If I waited this long for Mario Kart, I think I could wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pre-orders getting canceled was absolutely because of the tariffs. There's no broking any discussion or argument, simply because pre-orders are open everywhere in the world, including Canada. They are not open in the United States. It is very evident that,
punished.
and rightfully so. This is what we as Americans voted for. We get our reward. This is our reward for what we voted for. So I'm definitely, at some point, when the pre-orders do reopen back up, one of the cool things with that, by the way, is if you are an NSO member in good standing, you can set up a pre-order directly with Nintendo. You like show interest. What are you interested in? Are you the Mario Kart bundle or the original? And if you meet certain criteria, like if you played like 100 hours on your NSO account on the Switch 1 and you've had an NSO account for 2 years plus, you are eligible to get a pre-order directly from Nintendo, which is great. I like that they're doing that, because it stops the and I don't swear very often, and it helps to stop the asshole bots from taking these units from people who are actually interested in playing these systems, because it was a bitch and a half to try and get a PS5 back in 2020, as Jason the 13th and everybody know how that was, because I lived and breathed via Wario64's alerts of stock on Twitter back at the time. But we got ours, right, Jamie Ellis?
Yep, we do.
So
well, and Sony got smart after that whole thing, where they did something basically what Nintendo's doing with the Switch 2. If you were a PS Plus member with good standing and all that jazz, because that's how I got my PS5
awesome.
disc version finally, was ordering it directly from Sony, because I was PlayStation during PlayStation Plus and during the one new restock. They said, If you are PlayStation Plus, you do not have an account, you do not have a PS5, you have priority. You have first priority and first dibs on our new stock of PS5s.
That's how these companies should do it, especially as video games sort of move away from the retail space, which is it's occurring more and more. I do want to shout out to Up Down Select, saying sup peeps in the chat. Hey there, Rad or Ken or Sai. Always glad to have you join us. Love your content. Make sure that you also check out Up Down Select on YouTube. They have really great live streams as well as general video game content and more. So that I definitely enjoy everything that they provide. Astrimedes, though, you're our wild card. I want to know, what are your thoughts just in general about the Switch 2?
I mean, overall, I'd say I'm lukewarm on it. Is probably how to best describe my position here. I think Nintendo is super clever for kind of doing backwards compatibility. Like it's really smart. Like it's both like a nice move for the consumer, and then from a cold, calculated marketing perspective, it just makes migration of your users super easy and makes it so it's always an easier pill to swallow. So I think that's just sort of a good move, regardless of the intentions. I do think it's kind of neat, like all the kind of little stuff with the hardware, like the mouse Joy-Cons is sort of hilarious. I don't know. it's neat, I guess. It's a neat option. It's sort of cool.
New Mario Paint.
Even though it has, like, kind of like a lot of what Simbu's saying, like, yeah, it is, performance-wise, it's just not the machine that the other console generations are. This has been Nintendo's strategy for some time now. We're going to make it with sort of lower performing, easier to, kind of produce hardware or whatever. That's fine. They do have this, new NVIDIA chip this time. All these features they're touting. NVIDIA claims, I mean, Nintendo's real light on releasing any of the actual specs for these things. Every time we try to talk about one of these topics for, like, the hardware of a system, I always try to look like, okay, like, what's some actual numbers around this? And these game consoles, before release, like, they never tell you anything, so it's hilarious. But Nintendo probably worse than the other ones, almost, it seems like. So they're a little cagey on the details, but NVIDIA claims the graphics chip this time around is 10 times the capability of what the Switch can do, right? We know, it can go to bigger display resolutions, all that kind of thing. We saw, obviously, that was coming. But a lot of what the chip adds is these kind of like, some of them are technically like AI functions, like this, what is it, DLSS?
Yep.
Something like that. Like this feature, like what it's really doing to upscale these things is just sort of figuring it out on the fly, how to make it look good at a better resolution. And like art is made for things with like a specific kind of like resolution, a range of resolutions in mind. So like it's kind of interesting that we're entering now in this era where a lot of these invisible graphical enhancements even be sort of like AI based. And I'm not really saying it's good or bad one way or the other. It's not like some terrible use case of AI. It's not generative AI or anything like super scary, really. I guess maybe it's roots for generative AI technically, but I think that's sort of interesting, like what they're doing with it. But yeah, so the last thing I wanted to hit on is the cartridges that don't contain the games. I am definitely not a fan of that aspect of it, which is funny because I'm not even someone that actually physically collects many things in terms of this, but I hate the idea of an organization being able to gatekeep access to something by it having the only possible version of it. So I think just as a sort of like feature, it was nice that for a while the systems that had the cartridges and stuff were kind of holding on to this notion of like you really own your thing. If you can keep it working, you could play all the stuff on your NES and your bomb filter 1,000 years from now or whatever. And it's just it's all these digital products. They just have this lifespan, and it's just not only is it bad and sad from a consumer access perspective, but it creates more waste ultimately. If you render all this hardware useless, effectively, then it's a problem from that perspective too. So, not a fan about some aspects of it, but I'm not really someone that has a problem with there being a sort of console whose idea is not be a leader in graphics or specs, but to at least try to do some kind of interesting things along the way. And I do think all the little things the Switch does, you could argue that it is providing sort of a lot more kind of hardware features than some of these other consoles are, even though many of them aren't necessarily super expensive on their own. So, yeah, those are my sort of mixed feelings about the Switch 2.
Yeah, and you bring up some good points there, especially when it comes to the physical card piece. Supposedly, it's all the first-party Nintendo ones that will have the game on the disc, on the card, though all of the Switch 2 versions of the Switch 1 games, such as, and this is important, Metroid Prime 4, a brand new game, is only going to be the Switch 1 game on the disc, and it includes a code for the Switch 2 upgrade. So even if you buy the physical game with the ugly red case on it, inside is a Switch 1 cartridge with the upgrade code. So, excuse me, even with all that said, like, the Switch 1 games that are Switch 2 edition are still all Switch 1 games, and you're essentially paying an additional $20 for the code, because the other $80 game besides Mario Kart World is Kirby's Return to Dreamland that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, and they're just adding an extra mode. So is Super Mario Party Jamboree, where they're adding the extra mode and a few more mini games. These are $80 games that are Switch 1 games that have DLC in the book itself. So it's like, at that point, I'm winning as a Switch 1 pre-existing user because I have the physical games. I'm an NSO expansion pack member. I'm going to be getting all of the DLC because of that. So like there's a bunch of win for me, but somebody who is new to the ecosystem, it's a pretty costly proposition. But GameCube games. Nice to have GameCube games coming, because that's going to be a thing for the Switch 2. And it's only going to be 3 so far: Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2. But those are some...
They showed a few more.
They're not coming right away. Those 3 that I mentioned are the ones that are going to be at launch. But what a hell of a way to launch. The only other way that they could have done that better is making sure Melee was part of that.
Although the two big Pokemon games they showed, and the question is, will they let us transfer Pokemon to and from the online games? They showed Pokemon
Stadium. That's it.
Yeah, Pokemon Stadium, and the oh my god, the Dark Lugia game. I having a mind blank on the game.
So they do feature a lot of connectivity from the original, like with previous NSO emulations of these systems. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like the Game Boy Color game Kirby Tilt and Tumble, that works with the Switch using the internal gyro with that, and they didn't need to do that, but that works. And all of the Game Boy games work connecting online with other people as game links, like those crazy long cords and everything like that. They don't have to do that, but they have to. So to your credit, Jason the 13th, I would say that they probably are, but it's Nintendo. You just wait for a curveball, and I don't know what that would be.
Depending on how those go, we could see the original Pokemon come to the NSO.
That's almost a thing where if Nintendo's smart, that's where they introduce the third tier, and that is the highest tier that costs more money, and that unlocks all the Pokemon games. It's funny. I'm looking over at Simbu, and he had his laugh like, yeah, because that's the cynical laugh that 30, 35, 40 years of life on this planet will get you. Rad, I know you're saying hi to your father over here, but listen to Dad, because there's a reason why he's cynical.
Well, Jason's point about Pokemon Stadium, if they don't allow Pokemon transfer to the game, they will have completely destroyed everyone's fond memories of the whole reason why they played Stadium, and that was because it came with the little thing to go in the back of the butt of the 64 controller, so you could plug in your game and battle each other with your own Pokemon.
Yep.
On this grand 3D scale versus the little Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm still wondering if that was the reason why they haven't introduced the Pokemon games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, because isn't Pokemon Stadium, Jason, on the Nintendo 64 NSO?
Yes. Or no.
Because I thought a Pokemon was.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did release it, and I have not played it to know if I can transfer Pokemon back and forth. I didn't even think about it being there.
Because I know none of the only Pokemon games that are on the Game Boy Color ones on the Switch is the trading card game for the Game Boy Color. Sorry, Simbu, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, quick side note. Jason the 13th, you may want to pay attention to Switch cartridges at the store, because I've only seen it a couple times, but there is a Pokemon Snap for the Switch.
Yeah.
Snap 2, right?
I'm not into the Pokemon Snap, even though I heard
there is a Pokemon Snap on the Switch. I have seen the physical box.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Jason, I'm surprised you haven't played or checked up Pokemon Quest, because that's a Pokemon Minecraft thing.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah, because I think Pokemon Quest is a real piece of crap. That's at least that's what I've heard. But I'm surprised you haven't heard of it or checked it out.
Pokemon Quest, I don't know. Now the Mystery Dungeons, I do know about those.
So we're going to start wrapping things up here, because we're getting to our hour. I want to keep us a nice, lean hour. I want to, instead of where can we find you? What are you working on? Sort of thing. We want to know, our viewers, what are you guys playing right now? Storm, what are you currently playing?
It is right now Digimon. Speaking of Pokemon, it's the Digimon Cyber. Hang on, I'm gonna look at the title right now.
That was the free PlayStation one, right?
Cyber Hacker.
Yep.
Or Cyber Sleuth.
Yep, the Cyber Sleuth. It's pretty fun. That and let's see, Fortnite and Castle Full of Cats. That's about it.
I had the mental image of Jamie Owls perking up when she heard Castle Full of Cats. Ooh.
I did.
Yeah. It's fun. You've got to find the cats. It's a hidden object game. So it's relaxing to a point. But no, it's a lot of fun. And it was only like $1.99, so not bad. I like the inside of it. The developers have given themselves all cat names with cat photos to introduce themselves and stuff, so it's fun. The Digimon story, I'm about an hour and a half into it, and I quite like it. A little turn-based RPG, a little bit battle stuff with a great value brand Pokemon, so I dig it.
Nice. Very cool. Astrimedes, how about you? What are you currently playing?
I've been playing a little bit of Darkest Dungeon 2, and then I'll go off the reservation and very briefly mention that I've checked out a new tabletop role-playing game called Mother Fit. that if you like horror and tabletop role playing, a very rules light but effective tabletop game.
Nice. That's cool. You haven't skipped or gotten over your addiction of Darkest Dungeon 2.
No, and I think actually I'm getting worse at it or something. So I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's too
Maybe
funny.
the game's really got its hooks into me, and it's leading me to some tragic end.
Make sure you record it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anything else, we need it. We need to document it. We need to document the end.
Never mind.
Simbu, how about you? What are you currently playing?
What am I currently playing? Well, Jason the 13th and I, last weekend, 2 weekends ago now, we completed a full playthrough of Split Fiction.
Nice.
Great game.
Fantastic game. A lot of fun. We may go back to it and play the other characters just for the hell of it, so I could see the other side, he could see the side I played. But it's really cool because you get to see each other's screens on your TV, whether you're playing couch co-op or online co-op. So I could see what he's doing at all times, and he can see what I'm doing at all times. It's kind of fun like that. But I will say to Take-Two's commending here on that, despite it being an EA game, hold on. Let me see if I can get it to show. So, let me see. Where is it? Oh, it's not. There it is. Right here. This line right here says, "Get the friend pass." This game is a strictly co-op game like It Takes Two. But Jason the 13th does not own the game.
No, I do not.
I do. Therefore, he downloads the friend pass. He can play the game in its entirety with a owner of the game.
Yep.
For free, mind you. The friend pass is free. So I will commend Haze Light Studios for that, despite it being an EA game, and we all know how much EA loves their add-ons. And of course, most of the Fortnite cast know, the InfernoCast chat may not. I am currently working on the WWE 2K25 roster of the SFWF, and infuriatingly, not long ago, lost everything for some reason.
That's so frustrating, dude. God.
I'm back up to 25 characters of the 60 something I have to do. So if I didn't lose everything in the first place, I would have pretty much probably already been almost done. And then once in a while, the Fortnite crew will be graced with my presence when I'm getting pissed off and tired at looking at the WWE's created character screens. And then, of course, Phasmophobia once in a while here too, but predominantly been 2K25 trying to get that all squared away for the debut of Season 4 in November of the SFWF.
Nice. Yeah, it just sucked to hear that you lost all that progress, because creating all of those custom characters, and you got a lot of them, the idea of losing that. I grew up with older brothers, and my older brother loved to take the Final Fantasy 3 US, where I was getting all the characters to level 99, only halfway through the game, and saving over it. Yeah, 90 hours going in the toilet. Exactly. Well, I should say heartbreaking, though not unexpected for that particular brother. So I feel you, Simbu.
Yeah, but highly unexpected for a AAA game studio to have basically come back to it after a little while of taking the break and doing the Split Fiction playthrough, coming back to it, getting a terms of service and privacy agreement acceptance update, and and then basically having everything reset.
Yeah, that's unexpected for the TOS, but very expected for an asshat brother. Jason the 13th, what are you currently playing?
I actually get to tell you more than just Pokemon and Fortnite. I don't have the actual games, but I do have my Switch case next to me. So we got Phantom Brave and Metroid Dread. I have started both of these up now and playing them. And Metroid Dread, you guys told me how hard it was. The hardest part so far is getting the button combinations down. Trying to remember to hold the darn thing, to charge up your shots, to change to the missiles, and doing all that while you're trying to fight everything. That's the hardest part. But I did get to start up Phantom Brave. I'm starting to play that. Metroid Dread, I literally just picked up at the convention just the other day, and I started both of these games up, so some new stuff in the works.
Very cool. Glad that you're finally starting the newest Metroid and getting some more Metroid goodness. You're playing the newest and also the hardest ones, so if you manage to beat it, yeah, you definitely get some cred there. You get some Metroid cred.
So far, I'm liking it.
Yeah, it is difficult and not creepy, but suspenseful, I guess I could say, just based on some of the moments. So yeah, definitely a good Metroid, very very good Metroid. Jamie Owls, though, what are you currently playing?
I'm kind of dabbing into a couple of games. I almost finished Kaze and the Secret Mask, if that's the correct title. I haven't finished the major boss fight because it's hard AF. I started a new game on the Switch the other day. It's the Fashion Dreamer game, and I'm enjoying it. It's just, I only played it for like an hour the other day, so I'm just still trying to get used to it. And, sometimes starting a brand new game, trying to learn all the mechanics to it. And of course, Dreamlight Valley, The Sims, still slowly making progress in Tomb Raider. And the next video, which will air the day that we leave to our vacation, is going to mention all the other games that I plan on playing on the 10-hour flight. So, I'm not going to get through them all, but
we'll have plenty of time.
Yes, so that'll give you an idea of the games I'll be playing.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a long flight. But thankfully, we'll have our switches and probably drain the battery. I'm hoping our seats will have some sort of external power outlet or some way to charge. Most of the newer planes do. We'll just have to find out. But I will mention I am playing Metaphor. I'm still playing Metaphor. I've been playing it since mid to late February. I'm just at 74 hours today. Hopefully, I was hoping I was going to be able to finish it by the end of before going on vacation, but it's not looking like it now. But we'll see. Great JRPG. But yeah, so this has been our return to the live cast. We were having fun talking about some Switch 2 stuff. We may be returning 2 weeks from now, maybe 3 weeks. We'll just have to see how Jamie Owls and I are feeling after returning. We'll make sure to let you know on all the social media platforms for Inferno Fox Gaming. But again, I have been Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming. Huge thanks to not just our fantastic cast and crew here, but also those that joined us in the live cast. We appreciate you, and we hope that you have a great night. But parting shots, any parting shots, guys?
Nintendo's the next step of killing physical media?
It's a fair one. That's fair.
Between their raising prices and putting out the Switch 2 cartridges that you won't be able to resell because you've used the code and whoever rebuys it can't use the code for it. Yep.
There you had it. Yeah, it was some really good parting shots to live and love by. So we have been in the InfernoCast, and we will see you guys